Hi, my name's JW and this is my road to reversing. During this series I'm going to keep these videos to a minimum length and I will expand on these topics more in the blog posts in text format so you will be able to skim them more easily. Today I'm talking about my history related to reverse engineering, current status and future thoughts. Brief status of my background. I have over a decade of doing development and sysadmin work, and I stopped doing development as my main source of income 4 years ago, or almost 5 years ago. During that time I loved playing around with different languages, and eventually I did stumble upon, or pretty early on in 2002 I stumbled upon assembly programming, and I found it quite interesting, even though not suitable for my main tasks. What I learned back then was that it requires quite a lot of in-depth knowledge about the side effects of different things, like if you divide numbers, then where does the result go to and where does the remainder go and so forth. Small things. It requires quite a lot of in-depth knowledge. What is reverse engineering? Reverse engineering, or commonly reversing, is one of two things. It's figuring out the logic of either a program or a data format. Data format could be, for example, old video games or some binary format of some program. Let's say you have an audio program or whatever, and you save your project to disk, and you would potentially want to somehow automatically, outside of the program, manipulate that data. Then you would have to reverse engineer the file format of that data in order to manipulate it. My focus, on the other hand, is logic of programs. How does a program work, and potentially change it, i.e. binary patching, or bypassing limitations. In my case, I'm talking about challenge files, CTFs, and so forth, not about cracking commercial programs. As said, there are illegal uses, but there's illegal uses for everything, whether it's programming or sysadmin work or whatever. There are illegal uses. I don't care about those. I'm not going to be discussing those. Current status. Effectively, I am rusty with reverse engineering without ever being competent in it. Because basically it's something like what I would say is akin to what I've learned about the Americans and taking high school Spanish. Like, you learn how to say your name and I would like some food or whatever, or where is the toilet, but then you don't use it for 5-10 years. You sometimes may hear some words in Spanish and you are able to recognize them, but you are not competent in it. In the same way, I am with reverse engineering. It's been basically my number one priority, or it's not been my number one priority for 4 years now. I've wanted to learn reverse engineering, but there have always been smarter choices for me to pursue. But now finally I'm able to pursue reverse engineering, and during this time I've gathered a lot of resources. So much so that I was actually effectively paralyzed with the choices. Now I decided just do it, and I started reverse engineering programs, some crack me challenges with Binary Ninja. Why would I want to learn reverse engineering? Basically there's 3 paths that require or get great assistance from reverse engineering. Those are malware analysis, basically figuring out what the malware does and how you could potentially prevent it from doing it, and potentially finding zero-day vulnerabilities used by malware. Then there's digital forensics and incident response, and memory forensics, figuring out if a computer crime has been committed on this computer. And if you see, for example, some odd programs in the memory, what do those programs do, and are those potentially illegal or breaking of contracts, something that you could use for evidence with either law enforcement or civil courts. And then, of course, third option is fun. Capture the flag competitions, crack me's, and other puzzles quite often employ reverse engineering challenges. For example, given a given username, you must figure out what the algorithm requires for the password. So if you insert foo, what is the password for foo, which is different if you insert the username bar, which is, again, because it's an algorithm that spits out the password, you need to figure out what the algorithm does in order to provide a correct password for that. And those are the future steps. I don't know whether I want to focus on malware analysis, forensics, fun, or whatever. That remains to be seen. My next video will be on tools and how does one actually begin doing the reversing. Check out the blog post for more information, and you should be able to get a good idea of what it's like. Just a brief look, this is Binary Ninja, and this is some reversing I've done. I will go over this in more detail in the next video. Thank you.